Chapter 3. Navigating the Aftermath. The birds chirped in cheerful harmony, flitting between the vibrant branches of ancient trees that dotted the sun-drenched meadow. Each melody seemed to weave itself into a tapestry of tranquility. Yet, for Alex, the blissful symphony only heightened the dissonance clanging in his mind. He stood on the soft grass, feeling every blade a reminder of this world's surreality, a post-story dimension where conflict had settled into a bittersweet resolution. "Who would have thought I'd wake up in a fantasy afterlife where nothing seems to be happening?" he murmured to himself, unable to shake the feeling of being a spectator rather than a participant. With a sigh, Alex adjusted his backpack, a scroll case and a plain sword strapped awkwardly to his side that he hadn't even been sure how to wield. He had assumed that gear was left over from some hero's epic quest. Yet, here he was, left to wander the quiet remnants of what once had been a vibrant saga, devoid of the drama that usually accompanied such transitions. He began walking, his feet pausing to choose the path less traveled, painting a trail through brushy thickets and towards the distant silhouette of snow-capped mountains lingering in the horizon. "What if I'm just meant to wander?" he said aloud to the silence surrounding him. "A wandering soul without purpose." His words hung in the air, unanswered, as if the world itself was silently judging him. As he approached the base of the Grand Mountains, the scenery shifted, unfolding into a narrow valley lined with silver-leafed trees. There was a lively energy emanating from the heart of the valley. Curious, Alex steered in that direction, his heart quickening as he felt the stirrings of something. Maybe it was intuition whispering that life still lingered within this post-epilogue world, a tucked-away quest line buried amidst the remnants of old stories. The trees parted to reveal a clearing filled with small market stalls. Merchants hawked their wares. Colorful potions bubbling in glass bottles and enchanted trinkets were displayed alongside intricately woven tapestries. For a moment, Alex forgot his feelings of inadequacy. Wonder replaced confusion. He had just begun to drink it all in when he caught sight of a familiar face. A young woman with auburn hair tied back in a braid and violet eyes sparkling with mischief. It was Lyra, the bard he had met in the tavern on the outskirts of Eldoria, a classic hub of heroes. "Alex," she beamed, seemingly materializing from thin air, her presence drawing the attention of nearby traders who glanced up, intrigued. "I was wondering if I'd ever see you again. Did you get lost? You know wandering is frowned upon in the bustling markets." "Yeah, I wasn't lost, just took a detour," he replied, trying to project confidence. "What are you doing here? Gathering stories? Of course." Lyra spread her arms as if displaying an array of invisible treasures. "You wouldn't believe the things I've encountered since the peace treaty. Tales of dragons who finally retired to their lairs, old knights drinking mead by the fire, and rumors of hidden quests." "Hidden quests?" Alex echoed, his heart leaping. "I thought this world had already written its ending." She rolled her eyes dramatically. "Oh, Alex, never trust a final chapter. Tales are never over until the last breath of the storyteller. I've been hearing whispers of something stirring, a disturbance in the tranquility. The endings of old sagas often harbor new beginnings, and I've caught wind of a legend." "A legend? What kind?" he asked, intrigued. "It's said that deep within these mountains lies a relic, a fey gem, radiant and powerful, capable of rewriting realities and awakening dormant tales. But it only surfaces when a worthy champion proves their value, and there are guardians, old spirits bound to check the worthiness of impending heroes." Lyra grinned, her excitement infectious. "Guardians? Sounds a bit risky," Alex said, unconsciously fiddling with the sword at his side. "Risky is part of the adventure." She exclaimed. "Are you interested? We could seek it together. I could use a hero like you by my side." A surge of determination coursed through Alex, outweighing the initial fears that gripped him. "All right, let's do it. But how do we start? I have no idea what proving worth entails." Lyra chuckled, a bright melodic sound that danced between them. "Well, first, we need to head into the mountains. The journey might be perilous, but don't fret, the landscape holds many secrets. Just keep your wits about you." With her encouragement, they set off towards the mountains, Alex's heart racing with the thrill of what lay ahead, a chance to turn this post-narrative lull into a vibrant story of their own. Day 1. The climb begins. As they made their way deeper into the mountain's embrace, the environment shifted dramatically, enveloped by the breathtaking grandeur of towering peaks and the whisper of the winds. The air grew crisp, invigorating, and hung heavy with the scent of pine. "It's so beautiful up here," Alex breathed, as they paused to catch sight of the sprawling valley they'd just left behind. The vista painted a masterpiece of greens and golds turning to twilight below. "Indeed, but don't get distracted," Lyra warned playfully. "The mountains have their own mind and heart. Many have gotten lost along these paths." As they ventured higher, the trail narrowed, exposing sheer cliffs on one side and steep, rocky inclines on the other. The sun hung low, casting golden hour hues, flickering like fire on the horizon. "Does this legendary gem really exist?" Alex asked, glancing at Lyra, noting the sincerity in her gaze. "How do we know we're not chasing shadows?" "Because, Alex, every story starts with a hint of possibility," she said softly. "And where there's a hint, there's a path. Besides, your presence adds merit. There's magic surrounding you. Trust me." Alex felt the nuances of her words, letting them wash over him, despite his reservations. "Forward we go, then?" he cheered lightly. As they climbed, they encountered enchanting flora, glowflower blossoms swaying in unseen breezes and luminous mushrooms that glinted like stars in the dimming light. The charm of the landscape was captivating, yet an unease settled into Alex, as if they were becoming part of a forgotten legend themselves. Around dusk, exhaustion touched their limbs, and they set up camp beneath the gnarled roots of a great old tree, a silhouette against the vast mountain sky. As they arranged their modest campfire, Lyra began singing softly, her voice curling around the crackling flames. "What was that melody?" Alex asked after a moment, entranced. "A lullaby of the mountains," Lyra replied, her fingers dancing around the fire. "It tells of ancient warriors and guardians who safeguarded these lands. It's a way to pay homage, and perhaps to invite the spirits to join us." "I feel like we're in a fairy tale," Alex said, staring into the fire, "but it's strange being not the hero or the intended protagonist. Remember, sometimes the ordinary holds within the extraordinary." Lyra turned to him, her violet eyes shining in the firelight. "You've escaped your narrative only to craft a new one here. That's the beauty of this world." As night cloaked them in darkness, filled with star-speckled skies, Alex let Lyra's words take root, spinning visions of grandeur beyond mere heroism. Day 2, the test of worth. Morning came with a bittersweet chill, sunlight fighting through thick clouds that promised more than mere snowfall. After a hearty breakfast gathered from their provisions, they continued their ascent. The air grew thinner, heightening their anticipation. Lyra led the way, her spirited energy cutting through any sense of dread that clung to Alex. But when they reached a fork in the path, the ambiance shifted, heavy with a presence he could feel even before he saw it. "Lyra," he warned, stopping abruptly as their surroundings changed. The second path branched off through a narrow tunnel, a boulder-strewn cave illuminated by strange, flickering, luminescent fungi. "Looks like a guardian might await us," Lyra whispered, her voice tinged with awe. A sudden rush of wind swept through the tunnel, whipping around them, singing a furor of whispers. Shadows danced along the cave walls, and an ethereal figure materialized, a spirit dancing between dimensions, an embodiment of the mountain's ancient wisdom. "Colors of life and shades of time, what brings you forth to unearth the climb?" The guardian's voice was like wind chimes, resonant yet elusive, lingering in their minds. "We seek the Fade Gem," Lyra exclaimed, stepping forward, her confidence unwavering. "We wish to prove our worth." "Ah, seekers bold, yet shallow is your mold," the guardian replied, circling them with an almost playful grace. "To prove your worth, you must behold the truth of your hearts." "What do you mean?" Alex asked, stepping beside Lyra, his skepticism dissolving into curiosity. "A trial awaits, of courage and might, a test to cast shadows in light. Will you face it together, or dwell in fear? For there is much to sacrifice to draw ever near." Alex felt the weight of that challenge, a knot forming in his stomach. "We'll face it together, whatever it is." "Then prepare for a journey within," the guardian said, a glistening portal of light opening behind them, "for sometimes the hardest truths are found deep within one's skin." With that, the light enveloped them, and darkness consumed their surroundings. Day 3. In the void of self. The sensation of falling enveloped Alex like a thick haze, and with a sudden jolt, he found himself standing in an empty expanse, a vast, colorless landscape stretching infinitely in all directions. There was no air, no sense of up or down, only him and his swirling thoughts. "Where are we?" he called, turning to Lyra, whose familiar presence was strangely muted. "I believe this is the trial," she replied, her voice echoing eerily. "We're caught between truths, stripped of our facades." Before he could respond, shadows materialized from the void, swirling forms that took the shape of his deepest fears. They coalesced into memories, failed attempts, lonely afternoons, the suffocating weight of expectation. "Do you see, Alex?" Lyra's voice turned serious, her eyes heavy with understanding. "We can't hide from what has shaped us." His heart raced, a chaotic tempest of emotions battling inside him. "I was never good enough. I thought I'd escape, but here they are, my failures." "We've all felt that way," Lyra assured. "We're more than these shadows." "More? How can we be more?" he shouted, the specters pressing in. "I've nothing to offer." "Fight your own shadows. They are the fears that shape our paths." Lyra stepped forward, her spirit burning bright amidst the bleakness. "You are not your failures. You are what you choose to create from them." He could feel a flicker of hope flickering amidst despair. Alex considered all he had faced, the mundane struggles that had haunted him but somehow brought him here. "I want to be a writer, a storyteller, a creator," he cried. The shadows began to shift, slowly unwinding from around him, becoming wisps that unraveled with each word spoken. "I refuse to be bound by expectations." And then came clarity. Out of the fears arose visions of possibilities, faint but compelling. A silver pen, ink spilling onto blank pages, the warmth of laughter, the sound of stories forming. "Yes, writing! My adventures!" Alex yelled, hands clenched as he embraced that spark. "I will tell stories, new tales fueled by courage." The shadows recoiled, dissipating like mist as light filled the space, wrapping around him and Lyra. In the radiant warmth, he felt renewed, whole. Lyra stepped closer, her expression proud. "You did it, Alex. You faced the darkest parts and emerged unscathed." As they were pulled back through the portal, the mountains awaited them, the guardian waiting at the mouth of the cave. "Well met, seeker of tales and keeper of light," it chimed, nodding approvingly. "You have uncovered your worth. Now venture forth, the path is yours to claim." The mountains glimmered with promise and anticipation, and Alex felt a sense of belonging, power coursing through him. The dawning realization of a larger narrative unfolded before him. Together with Lyra, they stepped from the shadows transformed. A new quest awaited them, just beyond the horizon of their story. As they began their descent back into the mountains, determination ignited within Alex's heart. No longer a lost soul, but a tale waiting to be written, an adventure weaving onwards into the threads of destiny.